Welcome to the Home Business Podcast with Richard Captain Henderson, publisher of Home Business Magazine, and Sherilyn Colleen, managing editor. This how-to show helps you successfully operate your home-based business.
Greetings and welcome to the Home Business Podcast. I'm Richard Captain Henderson, your skipper at Home Business TV. Let's secure, foresee, and get underway. Many of today's home-based entrepreneurs put so much of their time and effort into building and maintaining their company that they overlook a crucial business detail, the actual office space they work in. Added to that, with the pandemic driving many employees, some for the first time, to work from home situations, there are many households with more than one person working from home, creating even more need for space in the home than ever before dedicated to an office. This all begs the question, how can your home office space increase your productivity and actually allow you to work better? To help us answer these questions and build better home office productivity, we are joined today by Dave Adams, Vice President at BDI, a leading manufacturer of contemporary, design-focused furniture for home office and entertainment spaces. So greetings, Dave Adams. Say hello to the Home Business Podcast audience.
Hello to the Home Business Podcast audience.
How are you doing today in North Carolina?
Doing very well here. I'm here in our furniture showroom in the High Point furniture capital of the world.
Oh, that's right. Now that you said it, mentioned that, North Carolina's kind of always been a hub for furniture production.
Sure has.
Well, great. Well, like I say, sometimes it's less of a glamorous situation than cryptocurrency or CBD, and seems like some of the other hot-ish things to talk about, but there is nothing more important than your actual office space. It'll impact your morale and how you feel about going to work. So this is a good subject for a podcast, and look forward to sharing some good insights with you. But first of all, let's get to know you better. What is BDI? And how did you come to develop your passion for office organization?
BDI is a furniture company manufacturer who's been around since 1984. We were founded by Bill Becker, who's an industrial designer by passion and by training. And we started out creating general household furnishings, tables, mirrors, but then we've morphed into home theater furniture. That was where we've really found our footing. And as we were transitioning into flat panel TV technology, we were the first to market with cabinetry that was designed for flat panel TVs. And this was really advanced cabinetry for the day, where it was integrating speaker storage and wire management and removable panels for easy access and hidden wheels and lots of things that were very first to market for that sort of thing. And so we really got known for our integration of technology into the home, which was always Bill's passion, was how technology can be combined with the design to improve the quality of life.
That's just kind of then morphed into the exploding work from home office.
Right. Because there was while there was a lot of office furniture, it really wasn't taking into account the needs of technology and how that could be combined to create a better workspace that was a place where you actually wanted to work. And that technology really, that knowledge just really lend itself well to moving over to the home office category.
Good. Well, I always do stress the importance of having a dedicated office space for your home business. Dave, why has a home office become even more important than ever?
Well, I think that for the home business owner, when they're launching their business, there is so much to think about, from how you're going to incorporate, to who you're going to work with, to who you're going to hire, what business you're going to do. The home office, I think, is often an afterthought.
Yeah, they're sitting at the kitchen table saying, hey, this isn't working.
Right. And you've said yourself many times that a dedicated space is a really important thing. And so I think a lot of times for the home business owner, it's the emperor has no clothes. They're so worried about every other aspect that they're not creating a space for themselves. And you've got to remember why you went into business in the first place, to increase the quality of your life, to care for your family, to And if you're not working in an environment that makes you happy and content and conducive to work, then you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, I imagine sometimes you might not even realize that. You get into just in a corner of a living room or a kitchen, and you don't even realize that, hey, this is kind of grinding on your morale until you get into that new space.
And I firmly believe that when you are in a space that is organized and efficient and reflects your style and your personality, you are going to work better. You're going to work happier. The word work has always had this connotation of bad. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, it doesn't have to be if you're working someplace where you actually enjoy.
Yeah, I know that myself. If my office gets disorganized and suddenly I'm just like staring off into space. It's like, you just imagine when I get things organized, it's like, I don't know, I feel better about things.
Yeah. And another reason it is so important right now is that work from home transition that's been happening. When it first began, everyone was scrambling for solutions to find a place for everyone to work or the kids to study. We were tracking a hashtag show us your work from home. Mm-hmm. And it was everything from pulling out the ironing board to the old TV tray table. There was lots of creative solutions out there. Yeah. And now people are seeing that the permanency is coming around, and for some it really is going to be a permanent solution. So it's a lot more important for people to be, finding that, and housing sales are reflecting that. The two things that people are looking for in housing right now are home office and home entertainment, because they need that space to work and they need that space for the family. And there's just more options now than ever before for people to explore.
Well, let's get into that a little bit more. These office furnishings are important to our office morale and comfort. So, what are some of the significant changes in office furniture we've seen throughout this year?
Well, throughout the years, there's been plenty. I mean, remember the the Mad Men desk. I think of it I call it the Larry Tate. You remember from Bewitched, Darren's boss? Right. It looks like a refrigerator box that's tipped over on its side. And it probably could store some papers and a bottle of scotch. And that was probably the extent of what it
could. Good old 1960s office.
Yeah. And so many people have rarely transitioned from that. So not only can you find things that are, well styled and pretty or attractive to look at, but they can be intelligent pieces of furniture now. If you're looking at your desk right now and there is a jumble of wires underneath of it that looks like the snake pit from Raiders of the Lost Ark, question your life choices, because you don't have to live that way. You could have a power strip inside your desk where everything is neatly organized and underneath your desk. You could have a keyboard drawer that supports your hands at the right position where you can comfortably work and they don't have to be on your desktop. You could have file storage that is neatly and conveniently next to
I should have talked to you earlier. My office is a tangle of wires.
You can step outside of that and you don't have to see that. And when that is not in your line of vision, it's a much, much better place.
What about, I don't know if it's been this year, but it seems like to me it's been this year. Suddenly there's so much about the standing up simple desk.
Sure. Having a sit-stand desk used to be for cool office spaces. And now, particularly over the last year, we've seen a lot of it going into homes more than ever before. And standing desks have become a lot more than just a tabletop that goes up and down. They can have keyboard drawers in them. They can have wire management solutions. They can have accompanying pieces for storage. So it's a lot more than just what they were when they began, which was two legs and a tabletop. So
I should probably do that, because I find myself just getting up all the time. Maybe if I was standing up and kind of walking around a stand-up desk, maybe I'd get more done.
It's really nice to have the option.
Well, how has the pandemic and the transition to working from home for so many new people affected how we build a home office space?
Well, you've said yourself that the majority of home businesses are run part-time. While you're juggling the daytime job and the family, you're also doing the home business. So the daytime job and the home business juggle has gotten a little bit easier for some people as they've been working from home and trying to balance that a little bit more for the past 20 months. So I think that's given them a lot more opportunity to focus on the home office during that time. Then there's like the hardcore.
Oh, so I see. So since people have been home because of the pandemic, they've already been doing some of the setup that might transition over to starting a part-time business. That makes sense.
Sure. And then there's also the people who might have found themselves unemployed during the pandemic, who might have turned that into being self-employed during the pandemic. There's also the hardcore home business owners who have been working from home the entire time, who suddenly have a spouse and kids and people around them who they didn't necessarily expect.
No, it sounds like you're describing my household.
Well, there's a lot of creativity that needs to come into that. So what's great though is there's a lot of other work solutions that have come to the front, like coffee tables that lift up so they're a workstation, or convenient laptop tables that the kids can work at on their laptops, and it's not an obtrusive.
Also, interchangeable furniture that can function both as some kind of a table or something for the kids, and then an office space.
Yeah, there's hybrid furniture that is
hybrid, maybe. Yeah,
where it could be a console most of the time, but then it turns into a desk when you need it to. So you don't have to lock yourself into that. Now, that's not necessarily what you want to be running your business from, but when you've got ancillary needs for office, that's great to have those.
You get your opinion on this? Some people have brought up, they don't really have a space and they have a living room, and they try to get a partition, and put a little partition in the living room. I don't know. To me, you got to find something else, but have you ever seen anybody make that work?
Well, room dividers do work in
room dividers,
places. If you've got like a basement area where it's not in a traffic area, I would not recommend doing it in a living room area, because that sounds like where people are going to be around. You'll be hearing the TV and that kind of distraction. But if it's off in a space where it's less traveled and you can have some privacy with it, I think that can work out really, really well for somebody. It just depends on the location and if you can be out of the line of sight when you need to.
I guess how much space you have available. Let's get a little bit into the nuts and bolts. So if you are setting up a new home office or giving your office a makeover, what are some of the key things to consider for your office?
Well, sure. The first thing you've got to think about is knowing what type of business you are in and how you're going to conduct your business in that space. Are you meeting with clients? Are you a road warrior who's only going to be there 10% of the time? Are you in storefronts all the time? It's figuring out how much you're going to be in that space to know what your general need is going to be, the overall gist of how you're going to be using that space.
So you say do a need, kind of look at what you need an office for. That's the first step.
Yeah, that's the very basic stuff. If you're going to be out on the road 90% of the time, then you have a very specifically different needs than somebody who is going to be meeting with clients, 5 days a week, or having an assistant coming to work in their basement with them on their advertising agency.
All right, because it seems like a lot of people are road warriors, but then I know people who have actually moved entire businesses into their home, and somebody is in one room and then there's an office room, and then that basement always provides a pretty good space. I think someone even put someone else into a garage. I don't know. At that point, maybe you need to look at getting an office, but I guess it's got to start with what are the needs?
Right. And then the next thing you're going to do, once you have a general sense of what your purpose of your office is going to be, is to take inventory of what supplies you're going to need in there, what your printer needs are. Do you need a drawing table? Do you need a conference table for meetings? Printers, scanners, networking needs, those sort of. So
you're saying looking at those needs from the standpoint of the space that you're going to have to configure for them.
Right. Everything needs a home, and you've got to figure out where that stuff's going to go. So once you have a list of your basic needs, now let's figure out where your office is going to go. So you've got an idea of your purpose. You've got an idea of what you're putting in it, where is it going to go? Now,
that's kind of based on everybody's different situations on what space they could actually don't devote to an office then.
Right. The perfect scenario, you've got your own room, is the corner, but sometimes the corner office is the corner of the bedroom. We realize that it's going to happen, and you've got to adapt to what you've got.
Just suck it up and make it work.
Sometimes you do. You want to find a place that is going to be a place we can dedicate to work. It's out of the line of traffic, that people will know that when dad is here, mom is in there working, that is the work space.
I think the key word you just used is dedicated.
Dedicated. You've got to know that this is your workspace. So the perfect thing, yes, it's a side room. If you can't find a side room, partition off a area, but make sure it's out of the line of traffic and separate. And so once you've got your location, just remember, this isn't your corporate environment. It's time to start thinking about your furniture. You don't have to have the furniture that you had in the office. That furniture was designed for 20 different employees to cycle through, and you were doled it out. You get to choose things that are going to be appropriate for you. Remember that you've got to have your storage. You've got to have, even though we are in a very paperless society.
Yeah, you still have to have, manuals and things like that.
There's always things that you're going to need to store. There's some great multi-purpose furniture out there that can store a printer, a scanner, filing, a whole mini office supply cabinet in one that are very useful for small offices. If you've got more storage needs, you need to bring in more cabinetry. Shelving is great to use your vertical space to go up. You might have longer term storage. If you've got things in rubber totes, get them out of your line of sight, because that's just not.
I think the key thing here is that you should give it some thought and give it some budget on, not just picking any old thing, but look at something that you can get that's nice and make sure your office pleasant to work in and will improve your morale.
Right. There are options available at every price point. You could spend a little, you can spend a medium, you can spend a lot, and it is all going to reflect style and taste and integration of features. And there's a lot of different elements that go into all of that to create the value that will be coming with the furniture.
But key thing is to make sure you put that into the budget. Let's go on to a word I hate and love, ergonomics. It does get overused. Dave, what does that really mean, and how do you recommend factoring ergonomics in when buying office furniture?
Ergonomics is a real thing. It is a scientific discipline about how the body interacts with furniture or operations panels or a car on repetitive motions. However, it's a word that I find a little bit squishy, because it tries to average out every human being and how they're going to react to a chair or a dash panel or whatever that item may be. And a 5'2" woman is going to interact differently than a 6'5" man. So to say that is ergonomically good, it's kind of tough to say on something and just put a broad statement on it. So I think that word does get a little bit overused. I think that it's nice to think of the term ergonomics. If you're shopping for a task chair or a desk chair, you've got to sit in it. You've got to make sure that it feels good to you. There are ergonomic features that you want to make sure you've got. The seat has to adjust. The armrests have to adjust. The back should give you some.
And it better not squeak. My chair is squeaking like crazy.
Well, it's not either find yourself a new chair, Richard, or get some WD-40.
So I think the thing about ergonomics, the point you mentioned, I really want to pull out is that it's specific to the individual. So you don't look at ergonomics as an ergonomic chair, but if that chair is ergonomic for you with your size characteristics.
Yes, if it fits your comfort, then it's ergonomic to you. Is in my thought. And standing desks, I think, also fall into that category where it's giving you some motion, giving you some movement throughout the day. So I like the concept of ergonomics. I just think it's very difficult to say that's ergonomic, that's not. It's
Well,
what.
let's get into meeting some of those clients. And sometimes it seems like most of the time that's happening virtual now in a virtual world. How do you create a professional virtual office when your business interactions happen to be by Zoom or another online virtual platform?
Well, I think that there are a lot of times we really just need to give some thought to what is going on behind you. You have a nice branded virtual background, and I can see that you must be doing it.
Oh no, that's my actual studio.
Oh, you painted all that?
My nose just grew, you know.
And I can tell that you are doing it with a green screen because you are not having the halo of death that looks semi-cut out around you.
Yeah.
So you've put some effort into what you're doing there. You often see people with the plain white wall that looks like we might be on some Zoom call from a penal colony.
Yeah.
They are doing their
I've
one
seen
Zoom
those
call
before.
out a month. And then, of course, there's the bad lighting, or the I'm talking to you from down here, or you've got to learn how you look on Zoom and worry about your lighting, worry about your perception and how you're presenting yourself. Be aware how you sound, be aware how you look, and be aware of what it looks like behind you. Don't be afraid to bring some personality into what people are seeing behind you.
Oh, don't you like my spotlights there, huh?
Oh, I think that is your personality, Captain. I think that you deserve the spotlights. So I just think it's a real opportunity in this. This could be very, very impersonal. It is impersonal in real life, but it's the best that we can do sometimes.
So what you're saying, one thing, a key thing is pay attention to it. I think one of the ways I do it is test it out. You know, you can do a test Zoom and see how you look, see how you sound, see how your equipment is. I mean, I am constantly having to tweak it. You know, my microphone suddenly wasn't working good with Zoom and I was having to pick it up. So I had to adjust that for today's podcast. And I think everybody's equipment and office is going to be a little bit different. Just test it out and see how it looks.
Sure. Yes. You got it. It's just a matter of giving it some care and giving it a thought about what you're putting out there into the world.
Yeah, then make sure the dogs don't go screaming by and barking right in the middle of that that conversation. What's really astounded me. You know, we've talked about what's gone on over the last year. What I'm really astounded with is the volume of client interactions that happen via Zoom. I mean, to the point it wasn't just something you did because you couldn't meet or a pandemic or whatever. Now it's almost becoming a preferred way of people to meet. In other words, you're fulfilling that need of meeting with somebody. You know, we're meeting here. We're just not physically in the same room, but you're still meeting. And I think it's made it even more important than ever. You know, how is your virtual background look? Because I see that displacing a lot of the interactions as time rolls on.
Yeah, I think that there are just new things that people make perceptions on now. And that just is one based on that.
Well, hey, Dave, Adams, this has been a great discussion on getting our home office into gear. Do you have any final points you'd like to share?
Well, I just want to encourage everyone to kind of look around their space and think about it with fresh eyes and think about what's best for them and know that there are options out there, that it's not a corporate environment anymore in your home business, that you have the power to bring style and your personality into the space, and you deserve that. So consider how you're working, get rid of the clutter, clean things up, and get organized.
Well, we always like to leave on a how-to show, an action step. So today's action step for podcast listeners is take a look at your home office and, you know, have a home office day. It's military, we call it a field day, and make some improvements with some of the great advice that Dave shared with us today. So to learn more about Dave Adams and BDI Furniture, please visit bdiusa.com or our podcast's website for more information on guests. Thanks for joining us in this episode of the Home Business Podcast. Share your feedback with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at our website, homebusinessmag.com. Visit the website for information on advertising, subscribe to our newsletter. Read our book, The Home Based Business Startup Guide. For more information, visit homebusinessmag.com or thehomebusinessexpo.com. I'm Richard Henderson saying anchors away. We'll talk with you soon. Until then, make it a great home-based biz day.